Good morning. Advoian, my grandfather, came here from Armenia following a major war. Came to this country on a boat with a wife, and by the time he got here, he had a son. My grandfather lived in this country until he died, and I never heard my grandfather ever say he was stressed out, frazzled, or overwhelmed in life. My father, who was the boy born on that ship, worked for the post office, as you all know, went through World War II, and until the day my father died, I never heard my father say that he was stressed out, overwhelmed, or frazzled in life. And yet today, I find people of all walks of life competing for who has more stress. It has become fashionable to one-up people, not about what we have, but how important or stressed out our lives are. And I mean everywhere. I work at a hospital where people with chemical dependency problems, you never hear someone say, my God, I'm fortunate, thank God I'm only addicted to marijuana. Someone says, shoot, that ain't nothing. I'm addicted to cocaine and mescaline and this and alcohol. And someone goes, shoot, that ain't nothing. I was doing crack when I was 9. People want to be the sick person. Now you tell them it's funny, but it's reality. I work with a lot of doctors. We go to parties and people will get around and they don't see how great their occupation is. They're competing for who has more patients, as though, and then how much medicine doctors take, as though these are medals of honor. Each and every one of you in here at one time have heard somebody from one of the other branches complain, and some of you are inside your head saying, shoot, that ain't nothing, they should come look at our branch. Am I right or wrong? Right. So really, what is stress? The gentleman was talking about stress earlier. Stress is a part of life. I want you to know, I was making a speech, and my title used to be Life Balance. And I was making a speech in front of 1,000 people, and I was right in the middle of saying, life balance, and then I immediately thought of a hospital television show, and flatline came across my mind. You all know what a flatline is, correct? What does that mean? Dead. So is a flatline not the same as balanced? Who wants a balanced life? It's like Groundhog Day. That means you be living the same damn life every day. I want life to be such that I'm juggling. That's what you want. You want peaks and valleys, but you want to be in control of it. You don't want it to control you. How many of you here buy lottery tickets regularly? Raise your hand. Now, are you hoping to win?
Yes.
Are you going to be stressed out when you win?
No.
Hey, yes, you are. Everybody that you know is going to be calling you up. You're going to be more stressed with money than what you have right now. How many of you want a promotion? Raise your hand. What comes with a promotion? Stress. Then you complain about it. Did you choose to make that decision? Yes. Own it. There's really 3 kinds of stress, 3 things that cause stress primarily. Changes in your environment. Now, there's so much said about stress and moving. When I left New York, because I married a girl from East St. Louis, I'm here to tell you, I cried driving that U-Haul from New York all the way to East St. Louis. Because I went from a pretty progressive state to some Midwest, closed-minded people, and I didn't know if I could make it there.
Whoa, watch yourself.
I'm going to take a little risk. I don't know if I'm going to go this far, but I'm going to tell you something. I taught at the community college in town, and because I was so accepting, I was called an N lover to my face. I never heard that said to me in New York. Yes, ma'am. That was years ago, so I'm talking, it was a shift me, but it was an adjustment. When you go to a new branch, if you got a new job, who's asking you to go to lunch? How many of you went to your first job or went somewhere and you wonder, who's going to invite me to have lunch? You're just sitting there wandering, and no one invites you to lunch because they don't know they're sizing you up. What group are you going to be in? Are you undercover? When I went to Wash U in St. Louis, I drove and did my internship in Cahokia Police Department. A lot of you don't know where Cahokia is, but you all know where it is. Here's this New York boy in a New York plate car doing internship in Cahokia Police Department. Those police officers would not talk to me at all. Because they didn't know if I was undercover police, they didn't know if I was FBI, they didn't know who I was because it was different. My adjustment to them was as stressful for me as it was for them. When we move from one neighborhood to another, you don't know if those neighbors are going to like you or not. It's stressful. Move causes stress. And we all say about kids, when we move kids, the kids can adjust to anything. That's bogus because the truth, man, they didn't have a choice to leave. You told them. We make ourselves feel better by saying a kid does it better because kids are inviting. That's not true. 5 or 6 and younger, they're incorporated in school because the teacher will say, I can't see it for a second. Mosea, Ricky's I didn't say it right, I'm sorry. Ricky's the new person, will you be his friend? And there's always those little kids who want to be the person's friend. But when you're in 2nd grade, you're on your own. So the adjustment's tough. And if you're a kid in your teens and you go to a new school, all the cliques are already established. And they don't want any more competition. So what group wants your child? The group that you don't want your child to belong to. So changing your environment is stressful. You know what my wife's big issue was? When we first got married, she lived in New York with me for a year. Do you know what her big issue was about moving? Where is she going to get her hair done? Excuse me, I'm telling you, for a woman, if they had same new teacher for 30 years, they got to go somewhere else. That's a big thing. That was her big stress. So changes in your environment certainly cause a lot of stress. The second thing is relationships. Now, relationships are something we all have to do, and people always say at times, I really don't care what people think of me. I used to just say, okay, I'll buy that. Then I started getting really frustrated. I said, well, someone would say, I said, excuse me, if it was your mama, would it make a difference? How about your minister, your boss, your children, your grandchild? Oh, yeah, that would be different. Why? Because I have a relationship with them. So my point is, a lot of stress comes because we choose not to develop relationships or learn tolerance of how to work with people who are different than us. Conflict that causes stress is there's 2 ways. People who really blow up and people who internalize. Who tends to be healthier? The people that blow up or the people who internalize? Blow up. Now, the difference about blowing up does not mean rant and rage and violence. It means speaking your truth and telling people when you're unhappy with something and how you want to make it better. Because there's a calming after the storm. Now, sometimes people get really volatile and it settles and then they get mad again. Why? Because they're mad that the person got them mad in the first place. But the people who internalize are the ones that have all the ailments. That's when all of you may be at work and your neck is really hurting or your hands are twitching because you're internalizing the stress and not learning how to dispense it so that you can function better. And the third one is internal messages. You chronically worry. Worrying doesn't get you anything but stress. It doesn't solve anything. All it is dispensing a lot of energy on something that's not helpful for you. A lot of people talk about who's more prone to stress versus others. Well, I'm going to tell you, type A personalities, people who are prone to do multiple tasks, are more apt to be stressful. However, most of them handle it well because they're able to do it because they enjoy being in control, they like the challenge, and they're creative. People who have those 3 are able to deal with multiple tasks and stress in a healthier fashion than people who are rigid, are not creative, and don't like challenges. So you have to look at yourself, and there's nothing wrong with either camp, but you got to know your mechanism and how that works with you. Stress was very big many years ago, because when I first got into private practice, They had clinics and hospitals for people who had stress. And then all of a sudden, the workforce became very aware that people were getting medical leave and suing their companies because of job stress. So the word stress became obsolete, and they started calling it life balance. And you don't hear people say coping with stress. They're using life balance, so there's no accountability for it. There are 7 aspects of life that cause stress that you need to live with. And I call them the 7 facets of you. The first one is spirituality. I hear a lot of people talking about going to church, God, Jesus Christ. That's real easy to say. But how many of you truly are engaging in the practice of what you believe spiritually and religiously? I know a lot of people that go to church every Sunday. They get there right early, and they go in the basement of the church and get the coffee and the donuts ready, but they never go up and hear the minister preach. But they're the first ones that be saying something when the people coming down the stairs, and there's a woman in a family that hasn't been there months, and the one will say, "Dylan, see that she hasn't been here months. Didn't she come down here and help us?" But she went up to worship. You're the one that sits down there socializing. Now, is that a religious person, or are you just there, the guy from the chit-chat about everybody else that's come to church? But you don't all have to go to church to be spiritual or religious. It's about practice. It's about forgiveness. It's about doing the right thing based on your values and what you believe. If you left your church because you got angry at God for whatever reason, you need to revisit that. Because I will tell you, there's studies that people who have a spiritual belief are more tolerant and able to cope with stress and illness and everything else in their lives if they have a spirituality in them, if they have a belief system in them. If you abandon your church, you may want to look at revisiting it. If you do go to church, are you really practicing it? Is it really there for a purpose? And are you doing it outside? You know, in the Armenian faith, I'm Orthodox, which is close to, it's Christian, and there's all these churches who kiss of peace in different ways, in different churches. And I think it's really wonderful that they do it in the box, but then as soon as they walk out the box, they don't touch it all. It's like I could be your brother in church with holding forward, moving around, but as soon as we walk out, like strangers. Why aren't we being loving of people throughout lives? I mean, why does it stop within the walls? I don't care what church is, it's about what that means. We all believe there's a God, but why, where is that for you in coping with stress? Second one is physical health. Now I'm here to tell you, I know I'm a short little chubby man. I'm not going to deny it because you can see it. Now, what I find interesting, in America, we spend more time, energy about everything else but our health. We don't, right now, everybody tends to not sleep enough, we eat too much, we all do buffets because it's cheaper or there's a variety. And I always hear this excuse, including myself, it's a variety. I don't know what I want to eat, it's a variety. But then we eat like 4 plates. You know, a variety means you go to one plate and you get a variety. It doesn't mean endless grazing. But we do that because we want our money's worth. But it's really kind of sad when you think about it, and that we don't really take care of our bodies. I'm here to tell you a little secret about your body. If you go home at night and you disrobe, and there's a fossil print of your underwear on your body, your clothes are too tight. And I don't care how big or small you are, it applies everywhere. Because I'm going to give you an example. My wife is also a chubbet. I kind of like chubbet people, we all hang together. Well, at one time I wasn't a chubbet. And my wife was going to go work, when we moved from New York here, she went to work at Women's World. And I don't think they have it anymore. It was a women's store for voluptuous big women. And initially we went for the interview because her aunt was the manager, and Nancy said, I'm going to work here, and I'm in this shop. And I said, you ain't working here for big women. We're slim, man. So I'm looking at these ladies, and all of a sudden this girl comes in, and she was very, very large, but young. Very beautiful face. And she walked in, and the clerk went in the back and brought out this dress that was turquoise, beaded, with that zigzag at the bottom, like, what do they call it, like, scarves, whatever that stuff is. And she goes into the dressing room, she puts this dress on, and in those days, you know how they have the mirrors, the little platform? This girl got on this platform, she took a pose like Madonna, and this girl sparkled. Because that dress was big. But what I want to say is, when I looked at her face, she said, I am somebody in this dress. It was a 22 and a half size dress. What size did that girl wear? 22 and a half. So then I looked at it and I thought, God, this girl's really beautiful. So then they go outside, they were talking more, and I said, I'm going to go sit out in the hall. I'm sit down on a bench, and all of a sudden, one of these ladies walks by. You all know these ladies. They're walking like this. Now this lady is probably a size 10, poured into a pair of 8-pair pants, and you know that she had to lie down on her bed to zip them up, and then bounce herself off the bed because she can't bend. Now my point is she going to have fossils on her body when she goes home? Absolutely. Now, most women would die to be a 10. This woman wants to be an 8. Who's more attractive? To me, the 22 and a half size dress, because that girl said, this is who I am, people, and own it because I do, and I look good. The other woman saying, I'm not thin enough, I got to pour in these things. And I'm here to tell you, and this is not to gross you all out, but when people wear clothes that are too tight, you start seeing crevices that I don't need to see in people's clothes. I mean, excuse me. But now, ladies, that's you. Now, gentlemen, let's go to our room. I used to sell clothes. Men come in and they're chubbier than me, and I'll say, what size pants do you wear, sir? And they'll say, 34. They got a jack off, they take a jack off, and here's their 34. Now, you can't tell me, when you're going to sit down, that's gotta hurt. I mean, how can you deal with 8 hours of work when you're sitting on the buckle is jammed off your back? I mean, own it. I'm a damn good-looking, chubby little Armenian boy. You know, and I'm not saying that I want to put, and the point is, own who you are. But my wife joked the same thing with her. We go out to dinner, and we'll be in the car going home, and all of a sudden, it's standard, she does one of these things. And she's taking her bra off in the car and pulling it out the front. And I said, ooh, relaxation. One day I joked, I said, let's pull over all and take my pants off, take off my drawers. But you know what, we gotta understand that our bodies are what we got. You know, own it for what it is. Because you know what, I know you don't care what other people think, but there's nothing more appealing, truthfully, in seeing someone in clothes that fit them, regardless of what size you are. It's not about trying to be what you're not. The last one, the third one is social life. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to skip that one, I'll come back. Mental health. Believing in who you are and accepting who you are is a key factor in coping with stress. When I said to you all that I don't care what people think, those people do care what people think. I care about certain people, and I want to do right by them because I want to make them proud. Like my father, and like I told you a story about me going home and telling him, calling him in New York and telling him I was going to speak to your group for the first time. It made me give joy to do that. But one thing about mental health, we were talking with some of the people from St. Louis about your employer and being courteous. One way is giving out of your heart but not wanting anything in return. Like opening the door for someone, and if they don't say thank you, just tell them you're welcome. Or you're doing it because it makes you feel good, and in your heart you can just say, you know, it's unfortunate they weren't taught to be kind. You do it for you. You don't need them to say thank you for you to do a good deed in your heart. Not worrying and thinking that you're not okay is your problem. It's your problem. If you have some emotional issues, there's no shame in going and seeing a counselor or an EAP person. Because sometimes we just need someone objective to tell us that we're okay. Because sometimes it's hard to ask for what we need from people that we know, but we're not certain they're always going to be honest. Because a lot of people tell us what we want to hear, not what we need to know. So mental health is a very strong one in dealing with your emotions and knowing how to handle them. One secret I tell people is that when people are criticizing you at work, you have to understand that they don't really know you. They just know you, the employee in the uniform that you're wearing. The secret is if someone's getting in your face and they're being critical, you have to be certain not to let what they say penetrate below the clothes you're wearing. Because you got to look at they're responding to my position, not me, the person. And that's really hard because if you let them penetrate into your personhood, they own you. And I'm going to tell you, many of you know, no one wants to be a slave to anybody. No one wants to be owned by anybody. But if they get to your skin, I'm here to tell you they own you. Because they'll make you jump and you're going to jump. But you got to believe in your heart that what I do is for the right reason. And remember I told you yesterday about not being owned? You could survive even if you lost your job tomorrow. And if you don't believe that, then you're really in need of EAP. And I don't mean it with being humorous. I'm serious. If you believe that you can't survive if you lost your job tomorrow, you have a problem because you can. You may not do it the way you want, just like the gentleman was talking about. We don't know what the deals are going to come our way. But you have to believe that I am okay and I will survive because I believe in being significant in my life and I'll find a way to be there. It's not all based on power, status, and money. And that's why I changed my company name. I used to be Teamwork by Design. Now it's Voice to Success, embarking on your journey to significance. Because being significant in your life is far more important than power, status, and money. And you need to keep that in check. Social life is a stressor. Part of us don't even have a social life. And if we do, it's very restricted. We were talking earlier about a lot of people that don't want to retire, and they don't want to retire because they don't know what to do. And if I don't know what to do, I might as well work. But there's a point in your life where you have to say, you know what, I paid my dues. I have a right to be playful and be joyful and relax. And it's okay. That I don't care if people are going to judge me for relaxing. You know, it's like someone says, oh, what are you doing today? I'm just chilling. And someone says, shoot, I wish I had time to chill. You do. You choose not to. Don't be getting in my face because I'm chilling in my backyard, relaxing, having a cocktail while you're out busting your butt because you choose to do that. Being more adventurous is also a way of dealing with stress. Because looking at how do I enhance my life by new experiences. Being able to risk exploring and learning. Open the whole door for you to find some playful energy. One of the big things that I want to share a story about a party that goes along with social life. My wife and I got invited to a party. It was probably 5-6 years ago. And the postcard came in the mail. It was fringe. You know how those have those cards for weddings with a box around it? It was formally printed. It said, you were invited to a party. Please arrive promptly at 6 p.m. Dress casual as you will be spending the majority of time on the floor. Bring $20 cash each. And then the people who sponsored it. So we all went to this house. We knew the people. They're friends of ours. And there were two 16-passenger vans. Two 16-passenger vans. And we all got there, and they said everybody had to split up, and we got into different vans, wives and husbands in different vans. They gave us Tootsie Roll Pops, blindfolded us, and they had Sesame Street music playing, and they drove us around town, and then they stopped and said, take your blindfolds off, and we were at Toys R Us. They said, we want you to find your spouse and one other couple, and you have to go up and down Toys R Us, and you have to point out every toy you owned as a child and talk about it. So we all did this, and then we all ended up at the front. They said, okay, now with your $20, you have to go buy one of those toys. So you got to figure there's like 40 people in line at Toys R Us, adults, buying Lincoln Logs, G.I. Joe, Cootie, all the stuff, Operation, all the stuff that we did. And all of a sudden we get back on the van, they put Sesame Music on again, they drive us to a little ice cream shop, and they give us those, you know, those 2-bite ones they give to little babies. They bought each one of us one of those cones. We went back to their house, we had to take our shoes off, and we had to open the toys and play on the floor, and they ordered pizza. Now, our ages were 40 to 70. Now, picture 60-year-old men going, with G.I. Joes and women with the Barbie guns. We laughed so much, and you know what was unique about this? It brought out the girl and boy energy that we all taught ourselves that we can't be anymore because we're adults. We can't be joyful, we can't be playful because it's not mature. You gotta look at what are you doing socially. Financial is another one. We are driven by want. We have totally lost consciousness of what need means. I need a suit. You go in the store, you go into Macy's, and I need to buy a suit. You can look at all the suits, and they're, you know, $200, $200, and then all of a sudden here's a suit, Brooks Brothers suit, that's $700 on sale for $395. But I was only going to pay $300 for a suit. I touched this fabric, $95. I'm buying this suit. I go into work. He was like, damn, Advoian, you're looking good. I said, I know. Now, I was driving around that suit, and all of a sudden I go home and I get to the mail. You all brought to my home. And I get that little card. Hi there, Mr. and Mrs. Macy's here. Your monthly payment used to be $25. It is now $125. I go into work the next day, and you give me a little attitude. You work for me. They don't pay me enough for this damn job. I got to deal with it. I should have never bought that $395 suit. Now it's the company's problem that I spent too much money. If someone will get too caught up and we spend more money than we deserve or need to spend, and then we make it the bosses or the job's reason we can't afford our bills. Because we're driven by want, not need. I know a lot of women that want diamonds. All right? But you know what? I'm not dishing them out diamonds. But what happens is diamonds are expensive. Now, if a woman wants diamonds, what I don't understand is that you can buy a real diamond, you get, let's say, an eighth of it, a quarter here, or an eighth here, of real diamond, and feel proud you got real diamonds. No! They go buy CZs and buy 2 carat for this one, 2 carat here. Now, would you want to get mugged for 2 carat diamonds and get killed over fake? I don't understand. I don't get it. Wouldn't you rather have the real McCoy and have something small than have something big that people know you're walking around in a beat-up car with 4 carats on your ears? I mean, it's ridiculous. So it's about really looking at what do you want to present. I believe that you could look good shopping at Target.
Yeah.
You know what? That's it. Because you know what? Most people, other than that gentleman back there who dresses really good, I was teasing him and I said, you look this good every day. What do you look like on Easter? I mean, now he knows how to hook up clothes, but he's a good shop. But my point is, you could look good with reasonable amount of money. The last one is retirement, job, and education. Each of you have to decide in your heart, what is it that you really want to be joyful? You really need to look at when is it time for you to do something different. I have found that when I've worked with a lot of people, most people did not pursue and work a career that they really wanted for the first choice. That they really wanted something else, but they either didn't have the commitment to do it, or they didn't have the time to do it, or they didn't think it was justified to do it. you need to look at a certain point in your life, and what point do you want to start phasing down and enjoying life? Because work is work. Is it not? I mean, it's work. It's something you got to be on top of all the time. But you know, you ever look at those greeters at Walmart? They're happy people. Could you imagine just every morning, you know, probably get a discount at Macy's or get a discount at Walmart, and all you're doing is saying, good morning, you know, you need a stamp for that bag? I mean, that could be fun. If you're really, and then you can choose to work if you want or choose not to. But you gotta look at that balance, because how you deal with life is all about you. So let me give some real tips, and then we gotta wrap up, because I wanna keep there on time. When you're at work, and you just go on lunch break, one of the biggest problems are people start trashing work 10 minutes before they even get on lunchtime. And then if you get a half an hour, 10 minutes, you're trashing everything that happened at work before you went to lunch. Then you take 10 minutes woofing down your food or smoking a cigarette. And then you spend the last 10 minutes saying, oh Lord, I gotta go back to that pit. So that half hour that you should be refreshing yourself, you are really depleting yourself. And what happens is you tend to eat with other people who are miserable. So in that 10 minutes, you're hearing everybody trash. And that's not healthy. What you need to start doing is say to people at lunchtime, stop. They're not paying us right now. So we're not talking about jobs. Let's talk about family, activities, whatever. And if someone does say, stop, this is not okay. You gotta set boundaries. The other thing too is find someone that has a hobby like you and just enjoy trying something different. Because when you eat with the same people, here's what happens. You all know these people. You want to admit you're one. Oh God, it's Tuesday. I'm going to hear Kevin talk about his back problems. Oh, it's Thursday. Martha's going to talk about her grandchild. Oh, it's Friday. I mean, everybody's got their own rotation of stuff. You know what? I can watch a depressing movie and get on somebody's stuff at my own age. I don't need to do it on my lunchtime. The other thing is finding an escape buddy. An escape buddy is finding somebody that's in your position, maybe in another branch, that you could use for positive reinforcement, where you say periodically, just call each other twice a week. One day, we just talk about something that we just want to, in a sense, vomit up a problem, and all you do is listen, say, you'll get through it, or, you know, positive, and then the next thing is, what are you doing that's positive about the job? So that you have one person objectively in your position that understands it, but it's not a gripe session. It's like being a sponge where you can unconditionally just unload and you mutually do it to each other, and it's like an escape button. The other thing is just getting to work and preparing yourself to go to work. When you get to work 5 minutes before you go in there, say, I only have to do this for 8 hours. I only have to do this for 8 hours. I will allow them to own my 8 hours, no more, no less. And then when you're done, you get in your car and you say, I'm shutting down, because they're not going to own my time with my family and loved ones. I'm shutting this down. And if you practice that, because the last thing you want to do is go home and let your worlds collide, because they own your whole life. You are in control. You got to give yourself that permission to say, I'm in control of this. And if you blame other people, it's because you're allowing them to control you. So when you're looking at your life, I encourage you to look at all 7 aspects of your personal life and do an internal audit of yourself and take ownership of what you are capable of handling and what you've chosen not to handle. Because when it's all said and done, it's all about you. Because as much as people may love you, they don't care about you as much as you should be caring about you. Now, anybody have any comments or questions? Because we're going to be wrapping up. I know we're running late, so I want to keep these on schedule. I just want to personally tell you that I can't put in words how honored I am that you've asked me to come back 3 times. When I'm with you, I feel my Father's with me. And I can't tell you how much that I appreciate that. So, 10 more minutes? Oh, okay. You just help me soak up those say a little story about what I mean about giving up what you can do to make yourself joyful. I don't know if I've ever said this story to you. When I was a young boy, I had a talent that was found when I was 6. And by the time I was 17, I won a national championship for the skill. And when I went to school, the Monday after I had won this national competition, I was ostracized, criticized, called words about, it was on the front page of the paper, that I never did the talent again. I stopped. And I didn't do it again until 2 years ago, when someone, a professional colleague of mine, booked me for a speech and named it, and I had never written the speech, never did the speech, and I got booked me for my full fee and said he will do this talent at the end of his speech. What it was is I was one of 7 boys to win the first time an all-boy team won the National Tap Dancing Championship. That's why I tell you that. In New York, I'm 60, remember? In 1968, boys didn't dance. Especially heterosexual boys didn't dance. It was so shocking that I had kept it a secret since I was 6 till I was 17. Now in New York, we had fraternities in high school. And you had to pledge to go through hazing for the fraternities. And I was in a fraternity. When my fraternity brothers saw the article, when I got to school, they asked for my jacket. That was the end of my dancing. 2 years ago, my friend, as I was telling you, booked a speech that said, I don't dance, don't ask, tapping your authenticity. Talking about helping people to really tap the gifts that they were given by their higher power that they may or may not be doing. And it could be singing, it could be dancing, it could be coloring, it could be painting, gardening, things that you may enjoy doing that regardless of your gender, it's a talent that you were blessed with. And I had to make the speech. I got booked. I was committed. I had to do this. So I wrote the speech, and I went down in my basement, and I was going through it, and I found the shoes that I wore when I was 17 and won the championship. I had not put the shoes on since then. I put the shoes on, and to see if they fit, and they fit, and then I put them away, and I don't know, put them on again, see if I could still tap dance at all. I said, okay, I could do some of this. And the third time was in front of 1,000 people. And what happened was I came out and I did this whole story. And what I realized, this woman came up to me afterwards, and I ended the thing, tapped in, and I ended it like something like this. And then I looked at the audience, the lights went up, and people were crying. And I went down, and, after the speech, people come up to you, and this woman said, when you started to dance, you were focusing on us, and then within seconds, you were somewhere else. And where I was in my mind, I think, was I was on Broadway. And she said, your energy and the look on your face was so compelling that when I realized it brought that joy that I put on hiatus and hid for all those years, I brought it forth again. And what happened is I realized, and many of you do the same thing, what I realized was that I wasn't fully living life because half of me was suppressed. How many of you have suppressed joyful things for yourselves that are preventing you from really fully living your lives? Because someone has ostracized, shamed you, or judged you. And my point is, don't let the opinions of others derail you from your pursuit of joy. Don't let other people be your puppeteer, be your own. Don't let them pull your strings. You be the puppet and the puppeteer. It's your destiny where you're going. Your parents gave you life. What you do with it is up to you. And it's not about you being abused and you doing this. It's about making the decision to say, I'm okay, damn it, and the world's going to know me for me. And if you don't like me, you don't have good taste. There are people out there who will like me and have good taste. It's really crucial for you to understand that. And that when you are sitting and you're doing your best, the dealing with stress is saying, I'm okay, I gave it my all. And you have to evaluate that, because some of you, damn it, let's be honest, are not giving it your all because you allow people to suck out the energy from you. You allow them to suck out the joy, and you're all living on fumes. You need to say, get the heck away from me. I'll endure this, but you're not owning me. Because I'm only going to be around people who feed my energy, and I'm going to feed it back because I have choices. I will endure your crap because I have to. Because I choose to have this job, so I have to endure with you. But I'm in control of that. Be a sponge. They're going to say, people are going to be judgmental. And my point is, really, it's almost arrogant, but the truth of the matter is, everybody's not appealing to everybody. Because I'm here to tell you, the Lord didn't give everybody everything. There's no one that's perfect. There's no one that's perfect. So when you're looking at your lives and you're dealing with every morning, you wake up, you say, I'm fully charged. Thank you, high power, for giving me a night's sleep and energizing my body. I'm going to only give 40% of my energy to my job. The 60% I'm going to take home for why I work, to love and be joyful and explore my life. And you know what I used to do, and I still do this periodically? A little tip, you might want to buy some of those 9-volt batteries, you know, the little square ones. If you have a little desk, don't even tell me, get one of those batteries, measure out and down like a fourth of it, and put like a magic marker or something, and when you're dealing with somebody on the phone, and they're getting you, look at their battery and say, I'm pulling back because I've been too close to my line of energy I'm dispensing today, and I'm pulling back. And think about that, because most of us allow people to own our stuff after the event. You resolve it, but you're still fuming over it. What you gotta say is, I'm done, ring it out, and move on. Because if they own you, I'm here to tell you, you're the slave. You're the slave. You chose to be the slave. And slave masters love slaves. Because they're the ones they pick on the most. My wife learned real early. She used to work for a jeweler, and some of the people said, how come Nancy never gets asked to work overtime or never does this? And I said to my wife, why do you think that is? And my wife's not a cocky lady. She's actually very quiet. She said, the reason is they know I'm good at what I do, and if they ask me to do something I don't want to do, I know I can get another job. I'm out of here. The ones they ask to do all the extra work are the ones who are fearful that they're afraid to leave. So they say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. So that's the person they ask. Because they're not going to give them any resistance. The ones that give them resistance because they're good at what they do and they're going to say, I don't need to do this, they give them a pass. Now, that's not true in every workplace, but I want you to hear about that. Who do you think the boss is going to go to? The one that's going to be most frightened and say yes? Or the one that may give them some resistance, saying, you know what, I don't need this, I'm doing this, da, da, da. They're going to go to the easiest person, and they're the ones that are always victims. So to believe that's strong and being able to say, I choose. And you got to be willing to make a decision and stick by it. One last thing I want you to be cautious of, and then I'm going to wrap up. I say to people when I'm at meetings, generally we're all sitting and we're all talking at lunch. And I said, you know, I'm really frustrated with da-da-da-da. And each one of you men, Rich, I agree, da-da-da-da. And then we go to a meeting with the boss. Now I'm sitting there, and it's you, and the boss says, well, does anybody have any issues? And all of a sudden, Richard says, yes, Paul, I have an issue, da-da-da-da. And then Paul says, does anybody else have any opinions? You guys don't say a darn thing. I tell people right up front, if you're going to say it to these ears, I'm going to call you out on it, because I'm the guy sitting there saying, da-da-da-da, and he says, anybody else? And I'll say, well, you know, James, what were you saying at lunch? And Robert, you brought up a good point. What was it? I'll call you out. If you're going to waste my time hearing it, you better say it where it counts. But I don't want to hear it. Because a lot of people put a lot of flack in sharing their stuff, but when it counts, they don't speak up, then I don't want to hear it. So that's the other thing. But you got to tell people, because you can't call them out on something that's not fair to them. But I tell people, don't tell me anything if you're not willing to say where it counts, because I don't need people to just give me a lot of flack. So, in closing, once again, thank you again, and tell you how honored I am to be here. And I can't thank you enough of the joy it gives me. And I wish you all well, but I really want you to challenge yourselves to remember that you only have one life, and to pursue a life of significance, and not to let other people derail you from your truth and your joyful journey, because not all people have good taste, and those that are on the journey with you are the ones that are going to be there because they like you for your naked truth, and that's what really matters. Thank you very much.